Welcome to the Magadweight Show. Today, we have an exceptional guest joining us. Eli Steele is a renowned filmmaker and storyteller whose work goes deep into the heart of race relations and societal issues in America. His documentary, What Killed Michael Brown, has sparked significant conversations about policies, attitudes, and their impacts on the Black community. Today, we will explore his insights and discuss how they might apply to current trends and challenges in Africa, as well along with America, of course. Eli, thank you so much for joining us. I am very happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me on. It's an honor to be here. So I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Thank you. So Eli, could you start by giving our listeners a brief overview of your background and also what inspired you to become a filmmaker?
That's definitely a great question. That's part of my background. I was born profoundly deaf, which means if I take off my cochlear implant, I can't hear a thing. And so I was a deaf person, want to be a filmmaker, especially somebody who was born in my time in the 70s. And the truth was, my parents were taking me to movies, and I hated them because I couldn't follow them. I would fall asleep in movies. But then I saw my first foreign film, and I saw the subtitles across, and that's when I just fell in love with film for the first time, fell in love with being part of the audience, having that shared experience. And then I just happened to have a family friend. His name is Warrington Hudlin. He produced movies like House Party, Boomerang, and my father was his teacher. And so I said, "Oh, you make movies, So how you make movies?" So he was the early champion for me. He invited our family onto the set of House Party, and I got to meet like Tisha Campbell, all that stuff. So just seeing the film being put together, just seeing the power that they have for storytelling was very inspiring. Because I'm not a great writer, I'm not a great photographer, but I can put them together and sort of make a story that has impact. So I love it. From the age of 13, I've always wanted to be a filmmaker.
Mm-hmm. So. That's a great story. I would never have guessed. What a really cool story. And so, Eli, your documentary, What Killed Michael Brown, it goes very deep into race relations in America. Can you share with us some of the key lessons from the film and also how those lessons might apply to help us improve race relations in America?
Yeah, you broke up on the last part, but I think I heard most of the question. The key reason why my father's name is Eli Steele. He's sort of a famous writer. He's written about race in America since the 1980s. He was part of the Black Power movement, and now he's a Black conservative. So he had quite the journey through American racial politics. And I happened to be with him when the Michael Brown story was evolving in real time. And like most of Americans, we reacted to the optics. It wasn't optics, it was the reality of seeing the body on the ground for 4.5 hours in St. Louis, where my father lived for some time. And if you've been there, it's hot, it's humid, it's like the cliche, you should fry an egg by opening it up and just dropping it onto the pavement. And why would that happen? Then the German Shepherd, the police would bring out German Shepherds, and then all of the hand up the shoot narrative. So we were like, "Oh wow! If this is true, this is really bad. This is horrible." And but we had at the same time we were like, "Let's wait. Let's see what the backstory. Let's see what the coroner's report is. Why did it take them 4.5 hours to move the body?" The what was interesting wasn't about 2 weeks after the shooting. I believe that's when the first coroner reports, the autopsy reports started coming out. And they disproved much of the narrative they had been building, that he had been shot in the back Did he be executed and so forth? And now most of all the shots were in the front. And but what was fascinating at that moment for us was that America split into two. Half of the country seems to believe in the past. The other half wanted to believe in the narrative. And so then, okay, and it never really came back together. And I think for me, the shooting of Michael Brown really was the split of America into two in terms of half of the country were the past, the other ones that were with the narrative. And so it's not uncommon to ask Americans how many black people will be shot by the police today. And here, 200, 1,000. Well, if that was true, we would burn down the country. We would burn down, and rightfully so, if that many people would be shot. So people are often stunned to learn that it's about maybe 20, I don't know, it depends on the year, but, and then out of that 20, maybe 15 of them had weapons, so maybe 5 innocent. Now, of course, we should be prosecuting cops to shoot people. That's no question about that. But you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Right.
You have to have the right and the correct form of justice. Social justice, racial justice that we saw in Michael Brown, and that's sort of what consumes race relations in America, is not justice. Justice is individual based in America, and that's the foundation about that you are judged as an individual. When we start going to social justice, racial justice, that's a different form of justice. That's something basically that I'll give you an example. So New York Times, there's a college by where I live, and they took a whole wall and they put the New York Times article about the shooting up on the wall. They blacked out every word in the New York Times article except for paraphrasing, white cop, shoot, black teenager.
Wow.
That was the whole story, and that's very reductive. That's very thing. But the whole point was making a social justice argument that it's systemic racism, it's white on black. We continue the horrors of America. There's been no progress. Is that true? We don't think so. But a lot of Americans in that narrative believe that there's been no progress.
Interesting. And so, what I love about your work and the reason why I gravitated towards you is because you often talk about the harm of seeing ourselves as victims. In this case, ourselves being us, Black people. But, anyone who sees themselves as victim, I don't think it's a good idea. But in any case, why do you think this mindset, the victimhood mindset, is harmful? And how do you think that African Americans, and in this case, Eli, I'm also going to have you talk about Africans because I see the same problem also in Africa. We have this issue with Black people in America, but also with Black people in Africa. So African Americans here and Black Americans, and also Africans. How do you think that as Black people in general, we can change this mindset so that we can focus on empowerment?
Yeah, you're talking about the victim mindset, right? The victim mindset.
Yeah, the victimhood mindset. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's in a way the victim mindset it might be worse than anything that this is a controversial argument. But adopting a a victim mindset might be more dangerous than any white oppressor ever did to us. The reason why, and I think that nobody can argue with me on this, but in slavery as segregation, especially in my family, the pride, my great grandfather was born in slavery. So I'm not far away from that. My grandfather was born in 1900. He was an accident baby. Though his siblings were like 20 years older than him, though he was not. That's why the generations are so far apart. But they never adopted the victim mindset. They knew they were oppressed, but to give into that oppression to give into that, to adopt the fact that they were inferior, was a suicide thought. It was to give up who they were, so they say, you know what, we have this much room to move. But we're going to move in that box. We're going to do everything within that box. We're going to be great. We're going to come up with a Negro League. We're going to make our own business. We're going to invent things. And we did. We're going to become doctors. We're going to become lawyers. The first jockey to win 3 Kentucky Derbies was black. So we were changing the world. If you look at what we did after slavery, is remarkable. That's why they had to push Jim Crow in the first place. People don't understand that black achievement was so powerful that they said, whoa, they're taking too much. I mean, so we push Jim Crow on top of them and keep them down.
Yeah.
We would have never done that if we come out of slavery, and if we come out of slavery as victims. If we use that, it's a lesson that's lost. And I know this is not a black lesson, because I'm not saying fortunate, but I would say there's a little bit of a fortunate aspect of having one side of my family come from slavery, the other side of my family come from Holocaust. From the Holocaust, my mother's parents survived the Holocaust. My mother is the daughter of Holocaust survivors. But what gives me that unique perspective is both of them came from the war tragedy, and both of them knew one human lesson. You can't have justice for that. My grandfather lost all of his beloved sister were murdered by Nazis. Were you give him money? That's not going to make up for his family. My family should be big. It's small, but it should be big. You can't make up for all that. Money is not going to make up for it. But what they understood was that you, yourself, and the Jews have a phrase that I think applies to everybody. It's not just the best revenge against Hitler. It's the life best lived. In other words, Hitler said you were a scumbag, you were a rat, you deserve to die. You have no good to the race, no good to humanity, so we have to kill all of you. And the Jews, they know we are a good people, we are a credit. Well, black people were doing that. Black people have a phrase that is that be a credit to your race. In other words, put your best on, behave your best, show those white people that you're not inferior. So that was the culture that was happening. Then in the 1960s, out of the 1960s, all of a sudden we get this victim culture. So where's that coming from? Well, my father writes about this a lot, so I'm borrowing a lot of what he says, but a big thing was that white America felt guilty. That was just what he was saying. They confessed. They were so evil that they had to put into the document, we will not discriminate on the basis of race. That's how bad you were. Most people don't really understand that that's the confession. That you were so bad, it's so immoral. And so white people knew they all of a sudden were immoral people. They were on the bottom. They were exposed as evil. They thought they were superior. They're talking about white supremacy. Boom! Now they're on the bottom. And so white people needed to be the saviors of black people in a race to reclaim that moral authority. And then black people saw that there was power in being victim.
How so?
There was because white people give you things. If you, as long as you're a victim, so that's why a black person that stays you a white person, I don't need you. I don't need you. Where are they? They're Uncle Tom. So think about it. Uncle Tom under the thing is the U.S. Tommy for the white man, right? Well, but why are we calling a black person who does this? I don't need the white man. We're calling him an Uncle Tom because he won't go along with the power structure. So the irony is, you can make the argument. I would never call it to be Uncle Tom, but you can make the argument that the black that are playing victim are sort of Uncle Tommy for the whites because they get a little piece of what? Okay, so let me give you an example. So Joe Biden won for president in 2020. He's falling behind. The blast in South Carolina basically gave him the vote because he made promises like, I will give you the first black female Supreme Court justice.
Mhm.
So then we get that, okay? But that's, I mean, what's that worth? I mean, first of all, now nobody knows her name. She's the first black female Supreme Court justice. That's all I thought I kept hearing. I mean, it was probably maybe 3 months before I finally sat there and said, oh, what's her name?
Yeah, what's her name?
Okay.
What's her name?
Yeah, and so Black victimization has become a great source of power. We've gotten affirmative action out of it. We've gotten a stomach out of it. We're a special class of people we can't overcome without the help of white people. And so it creates this very unhealthy bond. I mean, where President Biden goes, I mean, just this year he goes to Morehouse. Howard University, which is one of the more middle class, upper class black university, and tell them that America's a very dangerous place, that they're under a threat, that, and you're sitting there going, I mean, come on. And shame on the black people. They're allowed to be dead. I mean, we're stronger people than that. We're stronger people than that. And, in the old days, if somebody was racist to you, you would take care of them. That's how they would beat them up. And they would beat them up bad because they say, now you're done. Mm-hmm. And that's what worked, was to give old beating. And we don't do that anymore. We play fishing.
Mm-hmm. Because
we could get on TV, we could get a lawsuit, yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. So going back to some of the things that you said, going back to that time after, slavery in America, and where blacks, there was really this great period of black excellence and achievements, and they were really climbing back up. And so what I oftentimes hear from my African American friends is they lament and say, yeah, and even though they were doing that, we had Black Wall Street, and then they just burned it down. They burned it to the ground. So anytime we try to get anything done, they just burn it down. They. So you have many black people, whether it's black people here in America, African Americans, or black people back home in Africa. Many of them are thinking that I feel like they live in this world where they will never be able to achieve anything sustainable and great as long as the white people are around, because as long as the white people are around, the white people will always try to destroy what they do, try to destroy them, try to destroy the black people who are trying to change things. So how do you change people's brains like that? Because it's really, you're doomed. You're doomed if you do, you're doomed if you don't. Because if you listen to that argument, then it means, what do we do? Because unless you're telling me we should go on a shooting rampage and kill all white people, you're telling me that basically you as a black person will never be able to achieve lasting success. If that's very scary, and but I think that's a place in which many black people live in, and so many of them, because of course I would think that they realize they cannot just be going around and shooting all white people. Then it means to them, okay, then if that's the case, then I'm sitting down. I'm doing nothing because of what we just talked about. So Eli, how do you even begin to address that? Because it's very, very much at home as well in Africa, as it is here in America with so many black Americans.
Yeah, it's a bad idea that goes around. I think that, I think that's another thing, be born to a Jewish mother and a black father, and I'm also Native American white blood in me. I never understood how you define your stuff against another race. And so that's what the problem is, because if you want to, you are in effect living in the past. And that's what, I don't these Jewish people defining themselves against the German. Because the reality, if you've been far along, if you hadn't been with the German, or anti-Semitism, and so I think it's a horrible thing to tie yourself to a race, because what is that? What is a white people? I mean, I mean, white people at the point in America is still, it's not, we're not talking about your slave owner or your segregationist. At the point right now, most of them are dead. I mean, most of them are the last slaves right now. So it's a weakness. It's an excuse in a way to define yourself. It's a way to, especially in America. My father would say the number one problem for black people is they don't know how to be free. And it's a hard thing to
Oh,
learn how to be free because you've been oppressed in the country and you have, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're free now. Go do whatever you want. Well, that's the harsh lesson of America is that basically you're in the free fall, right? I mean, America, you're in the free fall. It's up to you. It's up to you to make your life for yourself. It's up to you. And I will tell you one thing based on my own path. And I think that I know people from all economic levels, poor, rich. I've seen rich people fall apart and collapse under this freedom is hard. It's hard. Even and so I've seen poor people thrive under that. But the thing here is that when you use race, when you go into racial essentialism, when you start grounding your belief system in race or racial ideas like racial equity, systemic racism, all that stuff, what you're basically saying is that the system is stacked against me. I can't do what I can do because of all these other problems. Well, what you're doing is just sort of giving yourself an excuse not to live in freedom. We've been waiting for justice for so long. It's almost like waiting for the Messiah. I mean, we're just waiting, we're waiting, but when you're waiting, you got one, I mean, I'm an existentialist, and I believe in God, but I believe in existentialism. You make choices every single day. You're waiting for what? America cares about people. I would say one thing. America cares about people who move forward. America cares about people who take chances on themselves. I can guarantee you, when you start moving forward, that's why I've met black people who like, I've never met a white person growing up. But when I left my neighborhood and I started going out in the world, people were helping me left and right. My mother, a Jewish woman, she left the Jewish ghetto in New York. She went to Iowa. Who helped her? Iowa. People in Iowa, she had no money. A professor, a white guy, gave her $1,000 to finish her education. Because when they see you moving forward, America could be a very generous country. And I think that all this race stuff makes us more suspicious. It hurts that fabric of community.
yeah.
Because, and I think freedom is the scariest thing. I think that's why we can, if we're about the left term, can be comrades in freedom. We're cheerleaders. This is how we behave with sports. We love sports because that's pure freedom. Your talent is on display. We're watching you where you hit that home run or you strike out. And if you strike out, what are you going to do? Well, that's life in a way. Yeah, sure.
I love it. I love it. So with that in mind, well, actually, let me keep that question for later. So you've mentioned Joe Biden. You've mentioned, obviously, race in politics and how we can divide people. You've talked about that also in your work. How do you think that race division actually stifles progress? How do you think it stifles progress? And also, what do you think that we can learn from it? Like, how, if you were to explain to both sides in a very polarized nation right now, how these divisions will really basically kill us all, how would you explain to them the process of that? Why, if we had to explain? Because I feel like some people need to be reminded these days that this is just the wrong direction to be headed into.
Okay, let me make sure I understand correctly because you brought it a little bit, but you actually, because we're a polarized country, how do we?
Yeah, how does the division stop the progress? How does division among ourselves along these race lines stop the progress?
That's a very, very good question. I've been part of the depolarization effort. I'm not part of it anymore. But it doesn't mean I will stop. But I think a big problem with the depolarization aspect for a lot of them is the focus here on human behavior. We have to be civil. We have to learn how to listen. We have to learn. I don't think that's a problem, in my opinion. We're not beating each other up. We're not violent. We're in a profound disagreement. We are having not a clash of uncivil behavior, but a clash of foundational principle versus and ideology. We have an ideology for general stand to come into our country, not coming into, but have been growing within our country. And then we have this battle between that ideology and the American principle. And I would say one thing: we as the country have never really lived up to the American principle fully. The founding fathers, slave owners, segregationists, we did not live up to the principle. And so people take the perception that makes the principle tainted. My argument is that no, it doesn't, because in the civil rights movement, we've been a revolution. It wasn't a revolution; it was the protest. It was the protest saying that you are falling short of your principle. It was the protest you state you must give those principles to all of us. You must live up to we are all equal, created equal. So it was a protest for that. And so what I'm saying, and that's what gave Black people the equality in a non-violent way. I mean, there was some violence, there were riots, but generally it was like a Nat Turner thing where we went out and killed people. We didn't do that. We appealed to the moral high ground. We are in a different battle right now where we have the greatest freedom, the greatest wealth, the greatest amount of education. We have iPhone. Come on. When we were younger, we had to really go to the library. We really had to work for our knowledge. And so my thing is, how do we move forward? My answer is always going to be in the American principle. Start living up to them. And guess what? The people that find power in racial equity, the people that find power in ideology, in people who make money off of that racial indoctrination, have a difficult conversation, having white people come over to your house for dinner and pay $5,000 for a place to be educating on race. Okay, all of that. All of that. Black people making money and doing nothing to improve our country. There is nothing to be gained in the American principle except your own freedom. And so that's why I believe the number one principle that we need to be focusing on today is merit. Shift focused on that. Shift focused on merit, because merit really is what it really means to live in freedom. To be an achiever, to fall down, get back up. And I think if enough Americans start rejecting the trap of the ideology, and also start realizing that you're being played, and all the ideology stuff is being done in the name of who? Black people. Black people need to stop being used. These white people over here are used to you. They think they're superior to you. So you need to be offended by this. And so if you think, my father was a Black militant in the 60s, 70s, and the idea was that we were going to do it on our own. We were going to build our own community. We didn't need to integrate to make the white man happy. We were going to build our own lives in America, be our own American. My father is still the very same man. He is still a Black militant, even though you call him a Black conservative. But it's a Black militant, meaning we can do it. He has nothing but pride in his own people. We know where we came from. I've been to my slave ancestral ground. I know where we've come from, and there's a great pride in what we can do. And that's how we need representation. We need this 5% of Black people live in LA, so the college must have 5%. I'm like, why 5%? It should be 100%. It should be 100%. You know, we did something. We're standing ourselves short. We really are. And so that's why I think, you know, focusing on merit, focusing on, I mean, come on, be the next Elon Musk, conquer the world. I mean, do that. Yeah, and don't make any excuses. China's not making any excuses. Other they don't have the luxury. You know, I should definitely talk with the black doctor from Africa, grew up in the hut. He's at Harvard Medical School. He has to walk. I'm sorry, I'm exaggerating. I walked 10 miles to school. And I'm at Harvard. These black people here in America, from when the babies, even though they're in poverty, they have Air Jordan shoes on. $50 Air Jordan shoes. That's poor people in America.
Yeah.
So so there's a perspective here. It's a real But I think that's why merit needs to become the primary focus, the doctrine for something that lifts us down. And when we become an aspirational people, that's when we put down the racial differences. That's where we become one people. I'll give you an example. This actually has been proven. There's a professor at UCLA. His name is Rick Stander, a very good professor. And he did this study, if I'm correct, or he quoted somebody else's study, but I cannot remember. But what he showed was that blacks that came into university at a very high level, in other words, the very high achiever, tend to have much more diverse brain. Why? Because the high achievers unite with high achievers. It doesn't matter what color they are. It was the ones that were the low achievers that tend to be more segregated. So that's what I mean by merit is something that brings you out into the world. It brings out your true brand. You can't be brand for somebody because it's black. That only goes so far.
That's very interesting. So on that, Eli, I really like the proposition, and obviously that's one principle that I follow in my own life. So I'm right there with you. But I'm still gonna take you back because I'm seeing this. It's just like this wall that it's so hard to get through when we're trying to get our black brothers and sisters out of this victimhood mentality. What do you say to people who think that focusing on self-reliance and having your eyes on the concept of merit, people who think that when we talk of self-reliance, when we set our eyes on merit, they can't even begin that journey, because for them doing that means ignoring in their mind real issues of racism and also historical injustices like slavery and colonization. How do we help people get past that? Because in order to take them to looking ahead, we have to find a way to have them stop looking behind. So what can we say, or what can we advise to them so that this thing switches in their brain, and then they can all of a sudden turn around and start looking forward rather than being stuck in the past?
When you look past, I would say that when you look to the past, you are dying. Right? A shark that stopped movie died. So it's very simple. And that's the problem with luxury. That's the problem with wealth. That's the problem with government decision in a way. It stops you from moving. You get bigger. You get lazier. You stop questioning. You stop thinking. You stop moving. A forward movie, man. I mean, a woman who's why do the women have trouble finding men in the country? Because the men are not moving forward. They find a good man. Yeah, but when you find a man, they in charge that I'm going somewhere, I may fall flat on my face, but I'm gonna get up and move forward. I think, okay, I can ride. I'm gonna be with that guy because that guy is going somewhere. At least it'll be a journey. And that's something that I've always admired about my parents. My parents have always had the resiliency to move forward, to keep moving forward. Now, it does not mean that you ignore the past. It does not mean that you do that. My father would never ignore the past, but you use that past as inspired. Look how far my people come from.
That's
And
right.
that's why, part of me, when I got like few college applications, it is that I could check the race bar. Part of me was saying, well, you know what? My great grandfather was born in slavery. My grandfather lifted my family up to a lower middle class life. My father lifted us up to a middle class life. I'm not gonna. They didn't do that with race. They did that by persevering. I'm not gonna shut this race bar. I want to do this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, and my son, believe it or not, my own son, who had his mother is firstborn from Mexico. He scored really well on the PSAT. He gets offers from the Hispanic and the black because
They all want to claim him.
and so he was tempted because the money is there. I mean, he's so insecure about getting to college, even though he has really good grades. But it began a long discussion between me and him, where I kept telling him, "Do you want to do this because once you go on your ways, they're taking something from you. They give you power over you. They're saying we lifted you up there. No, you did
Mm-hmm.
well on that PSAT. You did that by yourself because I was there. I made you take the practice exam. We worked on this. This is all you. Why would you give any power to these people over here?" And so then he was like, okay. And then he came to me as it's up to you. Then he came to me that, yeah, I didn't do it. I need to check it. I may go for all the general classification, the merit scholarship, the national merit under the general classification and compete with everybody. And that's just good. Now you know
That's
where you stand. And then
that's
if you happen to be on the bottom, guess what? Work harder. Because I mean, we have one life. I think there should be a sense of pride, and it's also a gift to us. America is a gift that we can test ourselves against the world. Even and it doesn't matter where you land. I've known people that were janitors, and they have a sense of pride at the end of their lives. They
right.
influence kids. They were role models in the world. They may be picking up garbage, but they were telling kids, you should be good. You should do whatever you want. They were happy
That's
and
right.
every day, and they did the job, and they did the job for 50 years, never missed a day of work. There's a great honor in that. And we don't really
That's
have that
amazing.
in our culture, in our country. So I think that the big answer really is just to believe in yourself and just move forward. And don't let anybody ever take away anything from your achievement. All credit goes to you, your family, your God, your community, but not race. Because
That's
race is,
amazing.
yeah.
I'm so proud of your son and so happy for him because you're right. Because sometimes even for me, sometimes it happens. You get you're invited to join some very big boards, and then my first reaction is, wait, do they want me on there because I'm capable, or am I going to be the token black? And I literally have to go talk to my husband, and he has to really work on me to say, come on, you really? You're asking that question? They should have you because of this, and that, and they're not even good enough for you. But I must tell you, it's really crippling because you always ask yourself, why? Of course, you go on these boards and you do a great job and all of that stuff, and I forget about it. But I have to say, I'm always suspicious as to why I get some opportunities or not. I'm like, because I don't want to be the token black. I will be the first one to reject it. If that's what it was, I don't want it. So going on that, it's taking me to this very interesting situation we're in today, Eli. Um, President elections. But before I go that, actually, I do have a question because you said something that made my ear go, oops, what did Eli just say? You said women in this country are not getting married or something like that because the men are not moving forward. Would you say that the lack of natality that's plaguing many Western nations right now is due to something like that, or would you say just the U.S.? I mean, unpack that for a minute before I take us into what's going on with our politics today, please. So tell us more. Tell me more about that. I've never heard it said that way.
Well, I think a lot of it, I always hear, I think you also go through, I just hear women complaining in general, and they keep saying they want a man. Well, we've had this culture for the last 40 years. I would say about 40 years. I was born in 1974.
Mhm.
I grew up probably in the last part of America where you started things with fish bite.
Mm.
When I was in sixth grade, eighth grader called me a nigger.
Wow.
So it's to that point where, well, how do you fix that? How do you settle that? And so we went to the park. We had a fight, and I knew that if I, as a sixth grader, beat up an eighth grader, it would set the tone, and I did. So my point though was we handled things, we moved things forward, we did things like that, and so I think a lot of men today, if you're just playing, raise this, raise that, going to protest, but really protest it. We had a whole George Floyd movement, and that created what? More race program, and then we got Kennedy, Abraham F. Kennedy. Well, do you really want men like him?
Eli, don't get me started. I'm mad at Kennedy I'm mad at Kennedy for so many reasons. Definitely would never.
Okay, well, I'll tell you what. He makes more money than me. Okay, he makes more money than me. You could live a nice life. I mean, you could go shopping. You could do that. I mean, he makes more money. But there's something where you're just sitting there and you're just telling everybody, hey, you know what? There's the anti-racist, there's the racist. I mean, what freedom you have? You have no freedom to move. And I think that people in general love freedom. And so that's why if you look at the American icon, if you look at Cindy Portier, if you look at Denzel Washington, if you look at the Marlboro Man, this guy with stickers, John Wayne, I mean, if you look at all of them, they're all men that move forward, they're men that take care of business, they're men that do this. And now we've got race hustlers.
Wow.
That's not attractive, I think. We got, I mean, that's what I mean by that. I'm obviously being, I'm not a daily culture or anything like that, but I just think there's a missing element from our culture where we have, I would just say something. So the reason why I brought up the fights was because we've had an anti-bullying culture. And the anti-bullying culture was basically to go after the boys and make the boys not allowed to be boys. So we have this whole group of guys who don't know how to deal with issues. They don't know how to do it the old way that my father did. I mean, they don't know how to do it, what even I did. My way was turn the sheet, turn the sheet, turn the sheet, turn the sheet, turn the sheet. They will stop. Okay, now you go fight. But that's what we did. And yeah, so then, but that gives you a power. That gives you, because when I would win a fight, it gave me a power. It gave me a sense of, okay, you put that person in line, the community sees that, there's peace. We move on. Now we got to talk about everything. And yeah, and so we got to talk about everything. And there's another thing that I was just say about this. And so now, it slipped my mind. It had something to do with the bully campaign. So it was a very I don't know. It was a very there's one other point. Maybe come back to me, but I can't remember. But it was another. There's another point.
I'm sure it'll come back, but you might appreciate.
Yeah,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I forgot. It might come back to me, but I forgot.
I'm sure it's going to come back. Maybe this will help it come back. But I know you haven't read my book yet, and I'll make sure we send you a copy. But I was explaining in it how because I used to be a tomboy when I was a kid, and anytime I come into a new school, my first thing to do is I need to know who is the bully of the school, and then I go punch him in the nose, because then it establishes the new hierarchy in the school. It's like, because I didn't want anybody to bully me, so it's like, okay, who's a bully? Of course, I wouldn't recommend to my kids to, I don't have kids, but but I think you're tapping into something quite interesting here where, I was talking to to Professor Warren Farrell. I think you may or may not know him. He's worked a lot on this concept of the boy crisis and how, we're totally failing young boys and young men, And one thing that he was saying, when I asked him, like, because we do have an epidemic also of what do you call it, suicide among young men, especially, right? Young men are in trouble right now. They're like in a state of disarray, boys as well. And so I asked Warren, I said, Warren, what's going on with this at the school level? So we tried to go through where all the issues were. And he said at the school level, the problem is, first of all, we don't have enough male teachers, and it is known that boys need this role model in the male teacher, and somehow the industry has turned, it's mostly women for the most part. And also this whole other thing, schools don't offer enough recess. They don't enough like that activity thing that boys need. And I think that's probably what you're alluding to with the bullying thing. Maybe it's not so much about going and punching somebody in the nose, but it's like there is this physical, energy that's just inherent to the biologically speaking, to being a boy, and it needs to be released, right? It needs to be released. But when you have very little recess compared to before, and so that whole aspect of education that normally could benefit boys has been removed. And so the boys have no outlet for anything to express themselves or anything. And of course, it's going to come out in the worst form possible, if it even does, or they go different routes. So this is it's a very interesting problem. When I started noticing how much we were discriminating against little boys, I thought to myself, if we're not careful, one day we're going to have to turn around and do for little boys what it is that at some point we had to do for little girls. And we're there right now. But many people don't see it. And I'm worried about the feminists, especially the modern day feminists. I think many of them are flat out borderline, genocidaires against men. They have no problem with that. I was shocked when the New York Times, was celebrating and discussing this new book by a woman, and it was all about that. I'm very worried, and Warren makes a very good point that I think many people don't see, is that if one sex loses, all of us lose. And I think people don't understand that also at the racial level. If we ever try to put one above the other, there's just no peace for nobody else. And I don't care if it's the white on top or the Asian on top or the on top. We're just this collective of human beings, and that's how we were designed. And the minute you try to put one above another, eventually the lower group, the group that has been trampled on, is going to fight back for its survival, because that's what it is. It's a fight for survival, and it's one of the most ingrained, coded, thing in our biology. Because yes, if you don't do it, you're going to die. You're going to die. Your lineage is going to die. So anyway, that's why it was very interesting to me. You brought that up. Thank you.
Yeah, this one maybe one a little bit related, but in Ferguson, there was the epidemic of suicides after Ferguson. I think the New York Times covered it. I think it might be 6 to 7 activists. I think one of them, I think they even hung themselves by a noose. Yeah. And so that the question is, well, why would that happen? Why would an activist, somebody who's been protesting, who's been in the riot, why would they take their life? I don't really. I mean, I can't speak to. Obviously, I'm speaking as an outsider, but part of me thinks that there is a dead end to these movements. Mm-hmm. That there's really no justice to be gained. And so when you get into this, it's almost like you go so hard and you hit that wall, and it goes right back into you, and you don't know where to go forward. And I think that's a big danger. And then these people were not alive. You see Black Lives Matter and the corruption of Black Lives Matter. But I can tell you, there were quite a few people that were stunned by what happened, by that corruption. They were profoundly disappointed. They thought that they were part of something good and something changing, but they were being exploited, and all of that in the name of victimization. And so that's why I think that also goes back to the earlier question of moving forward. Well, you can't really move forward at full speed if you're a victim. If you adopt that victim mentality, because you're kind of looking for an excuse for why or something. So you only have a certain amount of energy in your brain. I know this for a physical fact. I can tell you because I had the cochlear implant. When I take it off, my brain takes all the energy and puts it into my other 4 stents. So I know, but when I put this down in my brain, then moved it over to my theories then. And so I can still your brain, I mean, you're just one being. So when you allow yourself to have a vision mindset, you're paying the price for it. You're paying the
Mm.
price because you're looking for visualization, then opportunity. And that's not
Interesting.
attractive to people. I mean, this
Interesting.
is attractive to the people that make power off of you. It's attractive to the people who are on the same boat as you. But there's a lot of it that look outside of you and go, oh, I don't want to be you. I'd rather be homeless. I'd rather fail. And so I think that's what's more attractive about people moving forward. Because, and I mean, I've talked to people that fail. I live in Hollywood. We're surrounded by failures, but you know what? They found another way forward. They built a life. They became insurance salesmen. But they say, you know what? I'm gonna use my acting skills to be the best insurance salesman and raise my family.
Mm. Mm.
That's the way we do it. Yeah. So
Mm.
that's why I think that's why I would say that victimization is a vampire. It's a leash. Yeah,
It
it's
is.
only a bit. Yeah, you may win. It's like winning the lottery, but you know what? Go play the lottery if you want to get that money because not everybody wins the victimization lottery.
Wow. And so, yeah, so looking at where we are now, we are at this stage where it looks like Kamala Harris is going to be the Democrat nominee. On the other end, we have Donald Trump as the Republican nominee. And of course, I feel like America is obsessed by, you know, their genders and their skin colors. And I, my question to you is, how do politicians use race to win votes? And how can the rest of us realize that this is dangerous for us? Regardless of whether you're Democrat or Republican, to me, it's not about that. It's about actually keeping it to be that way. Just we're talking about ideas and things like that. But here, you would have to be really a hypocrite or blind not to see how along which lines they're going to try to play this out. Gender, race being the biggest ones, and who knows what else. So, how have you seen? How has your father? How have you guys been seeing race being used in politics to gain votes? In this case, how are you seeing it even play out even more? And how can the rest of us try to make sure we don't become the peons on such a race? Pun no intended.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think on the Democrat side, I mean, I think I was talking much about that because the playbook is there. The playbook is identity politics. Proves you are a good person and vote for the first black female president. It's pretty much that's the first white guilt. Prove that you're not a racist and vote for Kamala Harris. It really comes down to that. It's very simplistic. It's just like it's our turn. There's nothing about merit. There's nothing about values. It's our turn. Okay, but is Kamala Harris the best one? I keep thinking of a lot of black women. I would like calling the black women back who are much better than Kamala Harris, and they never get to share. Because they're not politicians. But what I'm seeing that's a little bit disturbing trend that's on the right is more white people on the right are picking up whiteness. They're basically saying, you know what? We've been targeted as white men. We're being denied job as white men. The man that was my sister's writing partner on TV told my sister, "You're better off without me," because they see a white man, and he was right. How sad is that? He was more talented than her. He had a better record than her. But she was the lead person of color that she. But the white man has to step aside and say, "I'm hurting you." I'm not saying that he picked up the card of race. I'm just using a personal standpoint that I know. But more white people are picking up whiteness. And that is the very dangerous development because then that leads to identity politics, presumably on the white, right? Because this whiteness is the reaction to the left identity politics. And if you look, I've had a couple of debates on Twitter, where they're like, screw you. You're telling us you play nice. We've been playing nice for 50 years. I'm white and I'm proud. And I'm like, oh, Jesus. Okay. Now I used to create a whole new phony block or something that now Republicans have to deal with this issue.
Wow.
They have to. So wait, this is relatively new. It's growing more widespread and it's more relatively new. And they're basically unapologetic. Like the so I don't know where we are, how that's a work in the future, but I guess a lot of black people on the well, not black people, but people on the left in general would say, well, that's been there all along. I would say no. They've been focusing mostly on the KKK. They've been focusing more on the neo-Nazis. I'm talking about the rise of the everyday white man. That's a different phenomenon. Because I always warn, you should go talk to anybody I know for the last 30 years. I've been saying this for about 30 years. If you start putting every minority into race boxes, when is the white man going to go into the race box? Keep pushy with that, and then you would do the worst. You would betray the civil rights movement by resurrecting the white identity, the white grievance, the white victim. Because these white people are now victims. Now we got victims everywhere. We're surrounded by victims of every color. and so now everybody got it. And that's how you create tribalism. That's how you create division. And that's how you move away from America. And that's a very dangerous thing for the future. And if Donald Trump, if he's to be pandering to that, that's a very sizable population. If he's pandering to that, that's not to the benefit of our country. You can't pander to racial and then preach American values. You only do one thing.
Yeah. That's so true. That's so true. In terms of talking about values, and because for me, when I think values, I think education. How do you see the current educational system contributing to the challenges that are faced by marginalized communities? And in this case, maybe let's not even say marginalized communities, because I like to stay on the topic of Black people in this case. But how do you see the educational system contributing to the challenges that Black communities are facing, and what changes would you recommend so that we can address these issues? And this is again within the educational system.
The biggest change is taking responsibility for your family, being a parent, especially because too many schools in Black communities or minority communities are being. Stop accepting that. Stop. Where you have 4% if your local school really on grade level, 4% doing math on grade level, that is a crime. Take responsibility, pull your kids out of that, homeschool them, be a parent. I know you may have a worse job, 2 jobs, but I think a lot of Americans do that. I have one main job and I have 2 other side jobs. So I have to do the same thing myself. But the main thing is you love your children, but you love them the right way and stop trusting them to strangers. Yeah. Hold just total strangers, your teachers. I'm telling you, the great teachers out there, but hold them, every one of them accountable. Talk to your children. And I think that's how you really, because you really should do it on the individual level. And I think once even enough people do that on the individual level, it changes the culture, the community. The community will mirror you, because the community will always be lazy if it can. They will always do the least amount of work. But if you're saying, no, we are raising the next greatest generation that's going to change America and make it better, well, they have to start with your own home. Feed them good food. Take them to the library. Teach them about your heroes. Tell them that Frederick Douglass learned how to read as a slave. Nat Turner with the G in it. Learn how to read. Tell them great stories. And that's what my parents did with me. Really, they really told me about a hero. And once you do that, then the kid, I mean, no child ever grows up wanting they should be less than. That's why they have races. That's why they have contest them on their own, in their own. They have a foot race down the block. Who's the basket? Who's the king? That's what they do. And they want to be challenged. So we as parents just need to, we need to respect human nature, especially in America, and we need to have good faith in the country. The country did a lot of horrible things, but the country is also the land of opportunity and possibility, and will only be as good as you make it, because each one of us had our own America. So what are we going to make of our own individual America?
Eli, what would be the advice that you can give to young Black Americans as well as young Africans back home who happen to be passionate about filmmaking and storytelling, especially those of them who are doing filmmaking and storytelling so that they can tackle societal issues? What would be your advice to them?
Oh, should pick up a camera. Use your iPhone. I mean, and I was read book, me a lot of books, read, and just learn how stories are told. Even a children's book. You can tell how you have a beginning, a middle, and end. And just learn the basic, and then just start. I mean, it's like that, or what's it, the African proverb? How you teach a kid how to jump over a corn hut? But you start with the kids jumping over the steed. And every day it jumps over it. It jumps over it. So they get higher and then higher and then higher. And then you jump over the corn hut. It's possible. I've seen it before. So you just pick the camera. You take pictures. Why is that interesting? My God, you have YouTube University. You can learn from other people on YouTube. You've got the whole world. But I think the main thing you do is just craft yourself as a storyteller. And so that's why, even though I do documentaries, I started off writing screenplays. And so I think that's just learning how to tell a story and move it over to documentaries. So even like what killed Michael Brown? We could have made a very boring, straightforward lesson, but we turned it into an investigation. What killed him? And that allows us to put all these big policy, intellectual idea into an investigation format. So how do I learn that? Well, I learned that just by, learning how to tell stories, just barely telling bad stories, but keep going. So I was just, you are blessed in today's cultures. You have iPhone. I did not have that when I was a kid. It cost $2,000 to get a video camera. Yeah. And it was a horrible video camera. But now we have, my God, you've got like, this power here. You've got cinema app on it. You got 3 cameras here, man. You should do anything with that. Just start telling a story, film your neighborhood, make it up, and show it to your family. And then, and they keep going. And then, But I think it's a great tool to have for the future, because I think we are really movies with far more visual medium, especially with AI. And so I don't know how that's going to change the world, but so I thought somewhere that AI is going to take the job of a lot of people, except for one group. The people that can think original thought, people that can tell story. AI can't do that. That's what I've heard. So that's a powerful skill to develop for the future.
No. Yeah, I'm glad you touched upon that, because people get scared of AI, but it can definitely be harnessed to be a tool, for now. But I think that's something we would love to see more young people learning to use AI as a tool. And then Eli, one of my almost last question, but can you share with us any of your upcoming projects or documentaries that you're working on?
Oh, yes, I am working on a new film with my father, White Guild. It's based on his 2007 book, and so America has changed, the world has changed a lot in 2007. So we're updating that to basically the post-October 7th world. My father is always focused on white guilt and black power in terms of the Great Society program. But this time we're going to focus more on the liberation ideology that sort of was being played out in the Hamas-Israel conflict, how that came from America, and so forth, and how it became a power to change the education in America. This whole how basically how everything become a race based, and we believe that the answer to a lot of this is not the complete answer, but is white guilt, because these people behind these powers use white guilt to advance their agenda, and nobody's really ever talking about that
Wow.
and how that can lead to the great
Wow.
undermining of Western civilization, the Western value, and so forth. It's a very because if we can't get over the past, how can we move forward? And so right now we're kind of being swallowed up by the past. And that's not the best explanation, but that's sort of where we kind of where we're doing this film.
Yeah, so my last question was just like, what are your parting words and advice for people who are interested in the same line of work and or also the same type of issues you've been working on? What would be your parting words?
Yeah, I think my advice really is, I mean, we may call this an American perspective in a way, but I think it's universal. I think that's what makes the best America at its best attract people, because its principles are universal. It doesn't belong to the country; it belongs to anybody. And I think that with technology, with computers, with the internet, with the wealth of information that was not available before, maybe about 20 years ago, I think that if I were anywhere in the country, the main thing to do is find out what your passion in life. Find out what it is, and what should make you wake up every day and want to live your life. I was just talking to my girlfriend, and yesterday she was like, I'm so excited. She's 52 years old. I'm so excited. I run out of my door every morning to go work. Well, that's the kind of life you want to live, where you're a beneficial society, helping people. So I would just believe in yourself, and I would also think of the world as the wild, wild west. Like in use the old term, where it's not going to be fair. It's a harsh world out there. But, there's no greater reward than believing yourself and making something out of yourself. And then at the end saying, I did that. Oh, wow. Like I could say, I actually made what killed Michael Brown. And if you ask me how I did that, I have no idea. But I took a step forward. It was just taking one step, make a decision, take another step, make a decision. And then you go, wow, we made a movie. There's actually a product out there. I think that's something that's a great reward to be stuff. A job well done, there's nothing better than that. So you should believe in yourself, find your passion, and don't let go. Don't let go.
Wow. That's powerful, and it's really the lesson there. It's always been my lesson. It doesn't matter how high you want to go. It doesn't matter how far you want to go. It always starts with that one first step, and it is always a small one. And I think all of us can do that. And then from there, you do the next and next and next. Next time, next thing you know, you look behind, you're like, oh my God, look at how far I've come. You're so right on. Well, Eli, this has been a true pleasure. It is my greatest hope that people who hear you, especially are, Africans in Africa, Black people here in America, especially, for them to really have heard you and leave the victimhood mentality behind. Like you said, this resonated with me when you said, when you're looking back, when you no longer, if you're not looking forward, you're not moving forward, you're not moving anymore, and it means you're dying. That is what I'm going to take away. One of the many takeaways I will have from this conversation with you. So again, thank you so much for the wisdom. Thank you for sticking to the side of truth, even if it's not convenient. And thank you for everything that you have done and continue to do. I cannot wait for this next movie. I think you said it's called White Guilt. I think that one is going to be really Very, very helpful for the times we're in. So, Eli, thank you so much for everything. And I look forward to having another conversation with you. We only scratched the surface of all the things I wanted to talk about.
It's been a great pleasure talking with you. I very much enjoyed the conversation. So yeah, I wish you and your audience nothing but the best. So thank you very much for having me.